Call this meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. All council members are present. You had an agenda that was in your packet. I don't believe there's been any changes or additions or corrections to the agenda.
I'd like to make an addition to the agenda.
Okay.
New business. I'd like to talk a little bit about putting council meetings up on YouTube, and then also looking at the possibility of us doing our own video as well.
Okay.
Have to look into that.
All right. Under new business, we will add council discussion in regards to the city council meeting tapings as well as social media posting. Okay. Very good. Any other additions to the agenda? None? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda then with that addition?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by
Second.
Keith, second by Mike. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. Thank you. Have our minutes that was in your agenda from April 3rd. Is there any changes or corrections? I did visit with Vicki. I just noted one omittance that in page 2 under the motion at the very last paragraph that there was an additional, not only was a motion to approve the watering, but a donation of $250. So that was to be added in there. That's part of that original motion. And we have that corrected for staff. So is there anything else in regards to the minutes? With none, is there a motion to approve the minutes with that amendment?
Make a motion with, that we approve the minutes with that change.
Okay, we have a motion by Keith and seconded by Warren. Is there any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. At this time is our public open forum. Is there anybody here who wishes to address the council? Anybody wish to address the council? Seeing none, we will move right in. We have no public hearings this evening, so we'll go into reports and presentations. Brian, the Police Department monthly report.
Just thought you'd pick those up and start reading them? Is that a serial reader, I guess.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Activity report for March 2013. Some of the numbers we had: 7 false alarms, 27 assists for other agencies. We had 10 small amount of marijuana and drug paraphernalia arrest. We had 5 juvenile problems, 21 medicals, 13 accidents. We had a total of 204 verbal warnings, and you see how they're broke down. Headlamps 50, and seatbelts 5, speeds 51, and others 95. And we had, 5 welfare checks. So we had a total activity of 480 for the month. So compared to last month, we looked pretty the same for calls and down on traffic warnings. And compared to last year, look like we're down on all those items too. So otherwise, that's all I have for March.
Any questions for Brian?
I just have one, just curious. I see you had an issue a deer permit. Was that within city limits? Or?
Yeah, I think that was on North 71. We had 2 deer hit, yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Move on to the Planning Commission report. Sarah?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In your packet, you have a copy of the Planning Commission agenda from Tuesday, April 9th. There is one action item that will be before you in regards to definitions in the zoning amendment. And then also in your packet, you have the January, February, March building permit reports, and then some comparisons to last year's totals.
Any questions for Sarah?
Can you give us some interpretation about the information you gave us today in regards to this year to last year? What kind of things are you seeing in the planning department?
In your packet on pages 13 and 14, the quarterly total for the building value is like about $500,000, which is just about the same as last year. It's up, $10,000, $20,000 this year. But last year was kind of an extraordinary year due to that storm. We did
So you're seeing more activity going on at this point?
It's even for the first 3 months of the year typically are very slow, January, February. But this year, we've had a few more permits than in the past, so it is steadily going up.
Okay. And then also a request, you send out packets prior to these meetings to people on the Planning Commission?
Correct.
Is there a way you can include me and maybe other council members would like to when those go out? All right.
If you want to be on the mailing list,
yes,
absolutely.
I would.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Sarah? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Just out of curiosity, relative to that comment, are the packets available for the other commissions, committees? Are they available on the internet?
The park board goes online, and we can put all of them on there, actually.
I was just going to say that I don't think it would hurt any of us to have access to those.
They're available to anybody that wants.
Yeah, but I mean, if they're listed online, we'll just be able to look at them anytime we want. Yeah.
So you can send out a notice when they get posted?
Oh, we kind of know when they get posted too, but
Well,
yeah,
just
either a notice that they're out there, that'd be great.
Well, the Planning Commission, Wendy goes and emails the Planning Commission packet to me anyway, and since I'm the chairman, so I would think that
Just
email
include
I'm sure
everybody.
she can
your
email them,
addresses would work.
but there's a number of commissions and.
That's something that I would like to, rather than getting kind of not a complete information, it's usually after the fact. I'd kind of like to know what's going on prior to these meetings rather than after. And so anytime that we can be on the list, as Park Board, EDA, Planning and Zoning, all those, I would like to be able to be notified when those packets are out.
It's not a problem.
Okay, super. Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you. We'll move on then to our action items. You want me to do that now? I sure can. I guess I didn't add that to the agenda, but we did, the hospital board did meet today. It actually was the audit, which had a year end of November 31st, 2012, or November 30th, 2012. And at that time then, Larson Allen presented the financials for the first 11 months of 2012, and during, towards the end, there was also then a breakdown of the transaction between CentraCare Health System Sauk Center and the City of Sauk Center. And of that, there was certainly discussions about the overall project and how well things went, and actually how well the financials looked even from 2012. That being said, we also received the breakdown on the marketable securities, which, as you guys know, 50% of that came back to the city in cash, 50% of that was borrowed to CentraCare for operations as they turned out service. And so from that being said, we received funds today of $2,323,091. We have a long-term fixed assets there of $14,152,000. We currently have a loan with them of $6,884,678. So if you add the funds that we actually received today, which is 50% of what we borrowed them for operations, and the remaining long-term liability, which is the value of the building and the facilities, that equals approximately $10 million that we have allocated as an asset up there that are either one, we've been paid a portion of, or we're currently borrowing them funds to. And so I just wanted to give you guys an update on how that meeting went today. We did get that disbursement, and it's nice to see that everybody's moving forward, and Central Care is happy, and I think the city's certainly pleased that they followed through as they said they were going to. Any questions? Staff, Vicki, anything else to add?
Is there the last meeting of St. Michael's?
Last meeting of St. Michael's Hospital Board was today at 11:30. No more a public entity. It is all private. So, anyhow, thank you. We will then move into the action item 7A, which is a resolution 2013-21 accepting petition and setting hearing for vacation of easement. Vicki?
We did receive a petition to vacate a utility easement. Joel and Emily Dunn have purchased 2 adjoining lots and have requested to vacate the utility easement that's along the common lot line. These requests do require the city to conduct a public hearing followed by action, and because of the publication and everything, we'll need to set that out. We can't make the deadline for the next meeting, so we're asking to set it for May 15th. I do have a resolution prepared in your packet, 2013-21, which receives the petition and sets the hearing for that date.
Any questions? Again, this does not approve the vacate at this time, just sets the hearing so that we can take in more information and get make a decision. So if there's no questions, is there a motion to adopt resolution 2013-21 receiving petition and setting the hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Warren, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Is there any discussion? I'll call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. Thank you. Move on to action item 7B, resolution 2013-22, declaring property as excess and advertising for sale.
The Sauk Center Police Department has 2 vehicles that have been released to the department as forfeited. In addition, since we have retained the 2011 Crown Victoria squad car, the department no longer requires the use of the Expedition that we previously used as a backup vehicle. The department is requesting approval to offer the vehicles for sale through the online department administration website. That's a 1997 Ford Expedition, a 2000 Chevrolet Silverado, and a 2002 Dodge Ram diesel. I have put in your packet Resolution 2013-22, which declares the property as excess and authorizes it for sale. I do want to make one change on that. Rather than have it back for the council on May 1st, I'd like to change that to May 15th. Gives us a little more time for publication and the online bidding, and to get the vehicles prepped.
Okay. Any questions of staff? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve resolution 2013-20 declaring a property as excess and authorizing advertisement for bid?
So moved.
Dave and Warren, motion by Dave, Warren by second.
Okay.
Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. All right, moving on to 7C. Approve resolution 2013-23 declaring property as excess and advertising for sale as well for the fire department.
With the purchase of the 2013 Ranger and trailer, the fire department no longer has use for the 2004 Gator utility vehicle and trailer that they currently have. They've requested that the equipment be sold. And as I think was discussed at prior meetings, when one department within the city has excess property, it's prudent for us to determine if it can be utilized by other departments prior to offering for public sale. The street and park departments have expressed an interest in retaining the trailer. In addition, they've requested the use of the utility vehicle to be used as a repair and maintenance vehicle. And so the City Council should consider this request prior to offering for sale. If either of the equipment is to be retained, it should be struck from the resolution that I've attached. any fund transfer could be negotiated if necessary, but I did want to bring it forward for discussion. So our action is going to be approve or amend the resolution that authorizes the advertisement for bids and the sale.
Any questions?
Is there an end date on the bid process? Or is it actually May 15th?
On the, well, if we do decide to put it up for bids, then we would set an end date.
Okay.
We can set an end date, but we wanted to set it for, if we do that, we would open them probably the 9th of May. So we'd set it till then.
Okay.
Any other questions? I did have an opportunity myself. I was down and visited with Tom and the staff at the street department today, as well as I've talked with John Egan at the fire department. And as you know, we certainly had approved the purchase of the trailer in a earlier motion that, and the funds from the sale of these two, this particular trailer and this Gator was going to go towards the purchase of the trailer that they were going to be acquiring from Belling, as well as the Gator or the new Ranger that they bought. However, as I was visiting with staff and walked around and took a look at all the trailers down at the street department, I got to tell you, there's a lot of them that are made from many, many years gone past, and I was just almost shocked to some of the stuff we have down there. So my opinion is I believe that trailer would work very well for the street department, and I think, you know, if it is the funds that the fire department is concerned about, an intertransfer of funds to make up the difference of what they can agree upon, or we can all agree upon needs to be for that trailer, would make perfect sense. The Gator, I talked with them quite a while today about the Gator. They truly believe that the Gator could be used for a number of things, and they gave me a list here that I told them I would share with you. One is to water the flowers, which we just approved recently. Use for picking up debris in the parks, used for bathroom cleaning and repairs, used for planting trees, used for park maintenance, trimming, etc. Used for when doing manhole repairs, and used as an extra pickup / gopher when working close in the proximity of the street department. So I think, you know, they have some legitimate needs for the Gator. One of the things that I had thought about is we have asked them to water the trees, and whether we had the Gator or not, we'll be watering them. And I don't believe that we wouldn't be watering them had we not had the Gator to use. So I have a little bit of thought about that. However, I would tell you that there is not necessarily in my mind a timeline that we have to have this thing sold by either. And if it made sense to see if the Gator would even work to help them water the flowers for the 60 days. I don't know that if it would put us in a difficult position if we waited to sell the Gator until we at least found out if something like that would work, and we would get a better feel from them. And it's not just watering the flowers, because I don't want that to be the driver as to why we're keeping this Gator. But if there's these needs, as outlined here, there's 6, 7 needs for some other type of, or an additional vehicle down there. Well, maybe it would make sense to see if a Gator is even what they need, so that we have, and means we already have that piece of equipment, and let them utilize it for a 60-day period if that's what it takes, and then sell it. That's just one option. I'm open to whatever this council feels. I just thought I would throw it out there because that's their request. That's what they asked of me today, and I wanted to share with everybody.
Well, I agree, because I know one of the things that they had talked about with the watering of the flowers was the issue of having that tractor that they normally might use for something else and having to have it ready to water flowers as well, and transferring equipment. This would eliminate that need to transfer back and forth between jobs. So yeah, it makes sense. As long as we're on a trial basis and we're not in any big rush to have to sell the tractor, right, that can be part of the trial. Right,
and you know, and the other thought would be is I know, you know, I certainly understand the fire department's desire to sell the Gator. There's feelings that maybe selling it now, based on farmers' interest and the time of the year and the season, it's better, you know, better to sell it now than it is in, just say it's June or July. And so, I mean, I think there's a legitimate argument for that as well. You know, the Gator is only 10 years old, and, you know, is it going to really decrease in value if it's used for a month or two? I don't necessarily know if it will or not.
I can understand, you know, not being in a rush to sell it, The trailer, I think, is more of a thing that the street department could use. As far as the gator, yeah, maybe for the summer months, but what's it going to do for the rest of the winter? You know, are we going to keep a piece of equipment that maybe for 6 months out of the year it's going to sit in the corner of a shed? You know, just because we might use it. I think not giving that to the street department and just take the money for the gator and that they want to exchange it for the gator, put that money towards buying another tool cat where we can use it year round. You know, or something like that. You know, we don't need to be in a rush to sell it, but I'm not sold that they need to have that piece of equipment down there.
It always seems to you can come up with a use for something. I mean, it doesn't seem to me that that I would agree with Warren that that just because you can find a use for it doesn't mean it's something that we should do. And if it doesn't have year-round usage, the trailer makes more sense. But
well, as I understand, you have to transfer a tank, a watering tank, from on when you use it and then off again.
We would have to do that, which we can do. I think the watering is probably secondary to what they're thinking that use would be. I think the one thing that got my attention the most and is the whole idea of when they go out as a team to trim the parks. Mowing, and you have your trimmers and you have your gas can and you're going from park to park and you're working your way through the park. That's something I think that you'd really utilize. Of course, that's only in the summer, just like the lawnmowers. It's not a year-round use for that.
You can make the same argument for a snowplow.
Well, you could. But as far as the tanks for watering, to have that other vehicle, it may be more flexible. But like as Brad said, they don't want that to be the primary reason why you're considering to retain it. It's more of a test for them. They might find that four-wheel vehicle like that just isn't practical. I know another one of the things is like in the campground every spring we go in with the Vector truck and we clean all of the fire rings. You can't do that when the campers are there. Some of those fire rings are with a wheelbarrow and a shovel, some they're with a pickup. It just depends on what they can get to. So they think of it, we'd ask them to think of uses that they could possibly use it for, simply to make their job faster and easier. Not to just find things that they could use it for, but what they could use it for that would be faster or more efficient. And that's the list that they came up with. So as far as the watering, sure, we can use it for either. We can use the tool cat, or we could use this, or we could use a combination. Just another tool in the toolbox, really.
I'm just thinking of the, constantly putting something on or off. You run a risk of hurting someone every time you do that.
That's true. That's true.
The only other thing is every reason that they've mentioned so far of keeping the gator and having it is the exact same list of reasons they gave us when they needed the tool cat. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, okay, now we don't want to use the tool cat for this. We want to use this because it's available. To me, it's duplication. Mm-hmm.
The one thing they found out with the toolcat that was really an unrealized benefit was actually with the street department, it uses a lot more for more rugged things. We have the grapples for the brush and we have those. We find that we use that toolcat more than the bobcat because it doesn't scuff up the yards and everything that we go on. So I think, and that's the same type of thing when you get a piece of equipment, it's only after you're actually using it you really find out what's really practical for use.
Vicki, please help me remember that toolcat. What did we pay for that?
With all the attachments, it was close to $50,000.
$50,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the other part of this that is important for us is what kind of a value do you think is on that gator that would be being sold? I
went on tractorhouse.com and looked at trying to find some in that range, the 2004 range, and I could find them anywhere from $3,600 to $5,500 in that range that they were. And of course it depends on your market. It's an older machine. Its top speed I think is 17 miles per hour versus the new ones which will go 50. So you have to have the right person, but it's economical for someone to purchase one. So but I think that they probably would get about $4,000 or $5,000 for it. I can't say for sure. If they wait a long time, if they sit it on someone's lot, they might wait for the right buyer and get $6,000. But I can't predict that for sure.
Okay, but again, if we put it for sale 2 or 3 months from now, it probably wouldn't be much different, so.
That I
mean, it's
can't
just
say.
not a lot of money tied up one way or the other.
You know, there might be some validity to people looking for them in the spring, like Brad had mentioned. Whether that's a big dollar amount, you can't say.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Seeing none, Vicki, we actually have, you know, your request for your motion was to advertise for bids. If the council wants to make a motion one way or the other to include either one or both or none, I think we could entertain that motion either way. Anyway.
I'll make a motion that we try out the Gator for a 2-month period to see if it'll work for our Parks and Streets Department and revisit this within, or after those 60 days to see if it should be put up for sale or retained.
Based on, they like
Feedback
it, or
from the street and park department.
in regards to what?
What they used it for, how often.
So I'm just kind of trying to get an idea as far as how they're going to make a determination, you know, what's the line that makes them say that it's worth keeping and not. I mean, they could say, we like it. So if they like it, they get to keep it, basically?
No, if they've used it enough and
Well, that's
it's
what I'm saying.
handy for them,
Yeah.
then we'll keep it. If not, we'll sell it.
Okay,
I'm
so-
going to second his motion.
I was just going to say, before we go.
And then let's get to discussion again.
Thank you. I didn't want to
No,
cut you
no,
off.
that's right.
But we have a motion to keep the Gator. I don't know what, you didn't mention anything about the trailer, I'm sorry, but
Trailer as well.
to keep the Gator and trailer.
I still second that, yeah.
Okay, so keep the Gator and trailer for a 60-day period for them to determine if there's a need for, a long-term need for those utilities, that equipment or not. That's the motion and the second.
Yep.
Okay, now, is there any
And
discussion?
discussion, I guess I would say in 2 months from now, if they want to keep the equipment, they're just going to have to justify it to us. Whatever they found that it's perfect for, or whatever their justification is. I guess I have a hard time guessing what that might be, but hopefully, if they want it, they have a reason why they want it.
So I guess I look at it, you know, at this point, we have a 60-day period to give them an opportunity to see if there's better equipment or other equipment that can make their jobs more efficient and save the city potentially long-term money. 60 days is not going to put us out, and we have an opportunity for them to get back to us with information. At that time, we'll definitely be able to understand, one, if there is a need based on what our input is at that time, and two, I would ask staff, if we could, to include them to have discussion about value, because if we decide to take it, this council is going to want to know at that point in time what that value is to transfer those assets.
That's true. They will have to make a deal with the fire department as to the fund exchange, so.
That's right. That would all be part of that discussion and decision when it comes back in 60 days.
So basically, we're going to make the fire department wait for their money after we get done using it for 2 months, and if anything happens to either one of them, the fire department's going to be SOL, or we're going to, you know, or what are we doing here, you know? You know,
Who
the fire
owns it?
department wants to sell it to get their money back to recoup to go for the new equipment. If we keep the equipment, there's got to be an exchange between the accounts right away, or are we, and then are we going to sell it if we don't? Or are we going to make the fire department wait until we get trying everything out?
We often carry balances in accounts that might be negative for some time. So if the fire department is carrying a negative balance because they haven't received their payment, I don't think that's a big deal. The city's not in the red, so to speak, so
And if we break it, we bought it?
I suspect that would be the case, yeah.
That's correct.
And the other thing is, you know, like Brad mentioned, there's equipment down there that's way past its time, and it's probably shouldn't have been used for all these years, but every time probably anybody ever mentioned anything about doing it, they needed it. I think I got a real problem. I'm not saying that they're going to fabricate an excuse, but I really have a problem with giving somebody an open door to find a way to convince someone we're going to keep this, because there's no way we're going to justify yes or no. They're going to say this is the way it is.
Well, I think I would be looking at 60 days from now, one, them to be keeping track of the amount of usage it was used for, what it was actually used for, and what and if any time was saved by utilizing this device.
So would you say keeping an hour log usage?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that'd be one criteria to say that we want to see an hourly usage.
Yep, and we can definitely, staff, as I see, making notes, so she'll be certainly sharing that.
Yeah, I think that would make sense, what they used it for.
Yep.
And
The amount of time.
how they would have done it if they hadn't had it, because I think we have to know what we're trading off against.
Yep.
What would it involve if it wasn't here?
I like that better than I like it.
Absolutely. I mean, again, the city isn't sitting here with an open checkbook, and we understand that the fire department has a interest in transferring and selling that unit, and we're not going to hold them back from getting those funds that are allocated to them as well. So it's a 60-day, and if you actually look at the timelines here, I think it really pushes us back. We can take a look at it once the 60-day window is up, and I would say that starts now, from my perspective. There would be no reason why you'd have to wait.
Yeah.
They can start using it tomorrow if that's what they feel they need to do. And then we'll make a decision. Fire department will get things handled then by mid-May, as far as the decision coming, or in April, mid-June.
I don't think we want to take it out of the department until the other one is ready to go.
I would certainly leave that up to the,
So the 60 days will start when it actually becomes available.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is
the
the new tank on the new rig isn't available yet, so if they need to take that out, they want to be able to have that available.
I would ask that you talk with the fire chief.
I will do that.
And then we'll set the 60-day window from whenever that's
That's
moved.
fine.
Okay. With that, we have a motion and a second. We have discussion. I will call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
Aye.
Abstentions? Motion carries. 4 in favor, 1 against. Okay, we're going to move on to action item D, 2013-24, authorizing solicitation of bids for 2013 mill and overlay.
At a prior operations committee meeting, they recommended the city proceed with the 2013 mill and overlay project. We've identified 3 streets within the city that are the next on the list for the capital improvement plan that we estimate to fit within the budget. They do not require underground utility work. We always verify that with the public utility. They're good candidates for a full-depth mill and overlay. We're looking at Prospect Street, High Street, and 950 feet of Center Street. That's a total of 1,630 lineal feet. The footage on Center Street could be shortened to accommodate the budget if necessary after bid opening. However, that is the optimum amount to get to the intersection. The project consists of removing the millings at full depth, some to be used as base, some to be hauled away. After final grading, 2 lifts will be applied. Work to be done and completed within 1 week. The reasoning for a full-depth mill is due to the poor condition of the roadway. It just wouldn't. The base there isn't good enough to put a mill and overlay over the top of it. Bids to be advertised with a bid opening to occur on May 9th. We do mail complimentary requests out to all prior bidders or anybody that's on our bid list. There's actually going to be 3 asphalt plants in the area in the near future, starting in the next, as soon as the road restrictions are off. So we think it's best, in our city's best interest to move forward at this time, because these companies that have these bids in the area are calling us, trying to add extra projects while they're in the area. So we're asking to approve Resolution 2013-24, approving the plans and seeking bids for the 2013 mill and overlay project. And this is an in-house, in-funded, within the regular budget. This is not an assessment project.
Vicki, just a quick question in regards to that is, if we get, because there's such an interest in these plants that are going up around here based on other projects, if we get such a rate that is so right, I mean, seems so fair, that, I mean, is there other streets that we should be maybe looking at adding beyond the 1,630?
There are other streets that we could add, and in the bid advertisement, what we do is we have in there that if we choose at our discretion to either lengthen or shorten, that it will be based on quantity. So it's not a flat bid, it's based on tonnage, so we can add to it.
Very good.
So we have that option.
Thank you. Is there any other questions, staff?
The only question I have is, we have enough time here, because you need to post this and stuff, don't you?
Correct. Right,
You've got enough, it looked a little tight.
Nope, it makes it, because May 9th, I mean, we'll advertise it next week, but we'll mail all the complimentary copies out. The advertisement is more of a, to follow the legalities
And we
of
don't
the
have
law.
well, I mean, I don't know how much the requirement is for advertising.
It has
so
to be 2 weeks prior to bid opening.
2 weeks prior, it has to be up. Okay, it doesn't have to stay up for 2 weeks or any
No.
such thing. All right.
Any other questions? Very good questions. Thanks, Dave. Seeing none, is there a motion to approve Resolution 2013-24, approving plans and seeking bids for the 2013 mill and overlay project?
So moved.
Motion by Dave. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Warren. Any discussion? I'll call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. All right, we'll move on to E, Ordinance 737, amending City Code. Vicki?
At a public hearing on April 9th, the Planning Commission unanimously recommended to the City Council that the city code, or the zoning ordinance portion, be amended. The definition of lot line front in the land use section differs from the definition in the subdivision ordinance and the special assessment policy. The determination of what is the front lot line on a corner lot when a house could be oriented either direction is the issue. In most ordinances, the front is the shorter of the two frontages on a corner lot, because you determine that when the lot is still vacant. But our ordinance says the front is the way your house is oriented. So if you wanted to put a rambler on sideways, your front would be the other side. So that becomes a problem for people when they're trying to build the house. I did put 2 sketches in the packet for you, Sketch A and Sketch B. A shows the existing ordinance. If you had your driveway to the side, you can see how the setbacks change, versus B, if you always have it based on the shorter, they stay the same. If you look down the blocks, you can see that option B, all the houses would be at the same setback, versus option A, that corner lot is always skewed if they put their door to the side. So that's really what the issue is. The other issue is the subdivision ordinance always is option B. The special assessment policy, we always go on the short frontage, which is option B. But then when we get to the zoning ordinance, we have this irregularity. So what the Planning Commission is recommending is that we make them all 3 the same, that a lot line front becomes on a corner lot the shorter of the 2 distances. And it's pretty simple. It's probably not rocket science, but that's what our ordinance says, so that's what we have to follow. And then someone comes in and wants to put their driveway off to the side, and all of a sudden their setbacks make it real skinny, and it's hard to fit a house in there. So we did prepare Ordinance 737, amending Section 156.003 of the City Code, changing the definition of lot line front.
And the Planning and Zoning has reviewed this as well.
They're the ones that had the public hearing,
Making the recommendation,
yeah.
had the public hearing, okay? It seems to me that making it clear and precise amongst all the different ordinances would sure make sense.
Be easier on the assessment policy.
Yeah,
to
and very
match
much
it.
clearer for staff.
And just one point to make, there was no public comment that came in by mail or phone call, and no one attended the public hearing.
Okay, very
when
good.
we did it, so.
Thank you. Any other questions of staff? Now, is there a motion to approve Ordinance 737, amending Section 156.003 of the City Code by changing definition of lot line / front?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Warren, seconded by Mike. Is there any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor and against. Moving on to action item F, appointment seasonal employee, Parks and Streets. Vicki?
Each year, the city hires a seasonal employee to assist with extra duties, mainly mowing during the summer months. Dennis Christensen has worked for the city both at the outdoor rink in the winter and for the Parks and Streets in the summer. We are recommended that he be reappointed for the summer season. The Public Works contract calls out specifics as to rate of pay for returning seasonal employees. He would return at step 3 at a rate of $11.06. This is not a full-time position. This is a position that work as needed. In fact, last summer, with the way the weather was, we didn't have a lot of extra mowing that we couldn't handle with our own staff, and so he was brought in very little. The year before, when we had the storm, he was brought in quite a bit. So it's kind of as needed at the discretion of the department. So what we are requesting is that Dennis Christensen be appointed as summer seasonal at step 3, $11.06 per hour.
Any questions of staff? Dennis, as she stated, has been working seasonal for us for quite some time, and I think he does a great job and has a great relationship with the city staff, so I encourage to bring him back in and continue. With that, is there a motion to appoint Dennis Christensen as a summer seasonal employee at step 3 of $11.06 per hour?
So moved.
Motion by Dave, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Keith. Any discussion? I'll call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. Thank you. This evening, we have no unfinished business, and we have 2 items for new business. Item 9A, Sauk Center's commitment to parks. Vicki?
If you did get in your packet the email that Councilman Olson forwarded to me. It's regarding the clarifying the city's council support of the parks system. And I think maybe Mike would like to clarify a little bit more of which part of this he'd like to see as a motion, or if you would like it to be read, I could certainly do that as well. It kind of talks about the guidance that the council gives the Parks Department and the expectations that the council has for the parks, the park board, I should say. And I don't know, Mike, if you want to clarify
Sure,
that. Would you like me to read it, or are you going to enter it as a motion?
The part that, well, go ahead and read it. The part that I'm looking to enter as a motion is the second half, where it says the City of Sauk Center recognizes the importance of parks, and down. The first part was more of an explanation of why this motion is being made.
Okay, you want me to read that
Sure,
second
go
part?
ahead.
Okay, Sauk Center's commitment to parks. The City of Sauk Center recognizes the importance of parks, open spaces, nature areas, trails, and recreation facilities in the overall health and well-being of the community. The City Council has charged the Park Board with planning, developing, preserving, improving, and maintaining the city's parkland for a balanced and diverse park and trail system. The city is committed to promoting a sense of wellness and healthy lifestyles for the community, providing a wholesome, enjoyable, safe, and aesthetically pleasing recreation system for current and future neighborhoods, fostering community social interaction using the city parks, protecting natural resources and open spaces within the City of Sauk Center, providing the community with efficient recreational services and facilities at their parks, and providing efficient, functional, well-maintained, and responsive recreational services and facilities.
Okay. Mike, do you have anything else you would like to add?
I feel that this also would be a guiding principle for us as we move forward with the master plan for the parks. Also, with the fact that we have contracted to do a splash pad engineering and also to look at Sinclair Lewis parks and the other parks. This takes some of the old master plan, but also adds some other aspects to it to give some direction to the planning that's going on with Santec. Santec or Santec? Santec. The other aspect of why that would happen now is they are going to be conducting public hearings in regards to that plan. If this is part of it, we can then put this in front of the community and get some feedback in regards to what they're seeing about it, any changes and that kind of thing, rather than to miss that opportunity of interacting with the community in regards to what we want to see happen with the parks. This also gives some direction to the park board in regards to what we want them to be working on. So hopefully they're developing goals for the year as we look at budgeting, so we all understand about what it is in general that we want to do. I feel this gives some direction to to those people that we're charging with taking care of our parks.
A couple things, and Mike, first of all, thank you for bringing this up. I think, as you outlined in your motion here, or will be, I'm assuming your motion soon, for our Sauk Center's commitment to the parks is, I think it just reaffirms, if I may, and it adds to or updates maybe the commitment that we've given and we've had to the parks for quite some time. And probably, I'll follow it up with and saying, I think how you put it together here is done very well. I think, the message here is a message that we've been kind of following for quite some years. And so I think what this does is it just reassures our parks, department, certainly a guidance to that park board that we do support what they're doing. That's the way I look at it, as well as gives them maybe some additional supporting support of the council as they make decisions going forward. I don't think there's anything that we've done that hasn't really followed this to this point, and I think it just reassures some of that. Is there any other comments? Anybody wish to?
I just got a reason, yeah, it's reassurance, but does it really need to be a motion? To reassure it? Keith was sitting on the park board, I'm sitting on the park board, or now, at any time in the past years, have you ever seen the park board not do any of these here things? Go contrary to it? The general guidance has always been every one of those things. Now all of a sudden we've got to throw this reassurance into it. The capital improvement plan the park board takes care of and brings to the council. The budget we bring to the council. The park board doesn't do anything the council already isn't telling them not to do. And if there is a change if they come up with an idea, it has to come to the council. For us to reassure, just reaffirm all this in a roundabout way looks like somebody says something and gets on the wrong side of somebody and they get some heat, and then it's like, well, we directed the park board or any other board to do this, and if it didn't happen, you can't blame me. That's kind of the attitude I get. Or feeling that I get, we're attacking the boards and stuff, and they're about as public as you can get. We appoint these people to do a job.
The intent of this motion was to clarify some of the things I found in the master plan that seemed to be confusing. That we really need to redo that master plan. This is pulling it out of the goals and issues that were in the master plan and putting it in its own document that we want the next master plan to follow. I think it helps to say from the council's point of view, these are the things that we need. Part of it, when we start talking about wellness and healthy lifestyles for the community, a social interaction using the park system, those aren't necessarily addressed in this master park plan, which is expired. I think what we're doing here is really setting the stage as we move forward. And the fact that we've been doing most of this, I'm not necessarily in agreement with that, but I think if we set this in motion now, this just sets the stage for future development and for us to move ahead.
The one thing is we haven't, the park board is looking at updating the master park plan, but it'd be in-house on their own as of right now, because the council hasn't allotted any money for a budget for a master park plan. So that point hasn't even been brought to the table. And the only thing we did do is affirm an engineering thing to explore the splash pad.
Well, they're going to be doing more than just engineering, though.
Strictly for the splash pad.
But no, they were talking about also looking at Sinclair Lewis Park and all the other parks, and to some extent. So
yeah, so not at this time.
So that's why I think by putting this out, this helps with the discussion. It puts it into writing. It puts it before the community, and we can have that discussion. Should be no problem if everything is being done as you said with all of this now. Then it's not any bad light on the park board. It's simply getting this out in the open, and this is what we're talking about.
And the master park plan that's out there right now, like you said, there's parts of it that are confusing to you. It's probably confusing there. The thing is 10 years old. It was adopted by a council. None of us were ever here. We have no idea what their intents were, and it could be totally confusing to anybody that reads it. To change it, I just got a feeling that we're throwing a lot of fluff around and trying to make things look like we're trying to avoid a lot of situations here and blame the boards and the commissions and everything. And
it's unfortunate that you would consider this any blame, because it's not meant to be that. And if anything, it's holding it more accountable for us. in that we're saying these are important to us. We want to see these things accomplished by the committees and the people that are charged with it. So we're going to be looking for these things in any of the planning that happens. I mean, I looked at the master plan, and its idea of activities is shuffleboard and horseshoes. I mean, that's what it talks about. It says no more expansion in Sinclair Lewis Park. They don't believe they want to do that. So there are things in there that just, we need to get away from that, and we need to say, this is what we're about now. We're beginning that process with this new planning process for the splash pad. It's a perfect place for us to really move forward. It has nothing to do about what anybody has done in the past. It's really about where we want to go in the future.
Okay.
I want to clarify some things here because Councilman Olson said that park plan is expired. Has it got an expiration date on it?
No.
So it hasn't expired, it remains in effect.
It holds true until we put another one in place.
Yeah, it goes on. It doesn't say it's over now.
Same with the city's comprehensive plan.
Well, the comprehensive plan, I believe, says set for every 10 years. This is not.
Well, anything can be set.
Well, the thing is, does it end, or does it just say it should be reviewed every 10 years?
Okay.
Right.
Stand corrected.
There's no expiration dates on stuff.
And I share Mr. Stone's concerns. A lot of this to me is very fuzzy. A sense of wellness, I don't know what that means. Is aesthetically pleasing, well, that's certainly in the eye of the beholder. I think if you're going to say this is to give direction, then this isn't direction. This is, fuzziness that is no less confusing than anything that's already out there.
To me, it's micromanagement.
If I may, let me just allow everybody an opportunity to give their opinion, and then rather Warren than you and Dave debate back and forth, I want everybody the chance to speak. So, Keith, I'm not sure that you've spoken yet, and maybe you don't have anything to say, but because I think we have some rebuttals here, and I just want to make sure everybody has a chance to be heard the first time as we continue to debate it.
I see this as a positive step. I mean, adopting this. I really do. And now we were just talking about the master plan is maybe a bit dated. It hasn't expired, but it isn't. But it's probably a bit dated. Well, if you're going to make amendments, you have to start somewhere. This is probably like a mission statement for the council as to what we want the park board to be looking for. And I also agree a little, I agree with everyone on this whole issue here, but I just don't see where it's going to hurt to adopt this, and I don't see it as micromanagement. I don't see it as something's wrong and this is the first step to making it right. I think this is just augmenting what we want them to do.
Thank you. Anybody else? That being said, Warren, I'm giving you the opportunity now, please.
The only thing is I understand where you're coming from on that. The only thing is like you said, it's a mission statement. Which there are some things in here that I agree with, but they're, like Dave said, they're fuzzy. It all depends on there. I don't remember anybody coming along and saying that the council is going to go out and set mission statements for every board and commission we got. I don't know if until we're ready to do that, that's a whole different thing. We need to, as a council, to set up what we want, what we think as a group, what a mission statement is or what our goals are, rather than one person lay it on the table and say, here, let's do this. Because in 2 weeks we could have another one for Planning Commission. In 2 weeks we could have another one for the EDA. Not saying that that's going to happen, but I think if we're going to start setting this stuff up, we should be doing it as a group. And maybe that's when we got that strategic planning meeting coming up in May or whatever. Maybe that's when we discuss it. But until now, I think it's good points, but it's a waste of time to be looking at it now because not everybody knew anything until the day the packet came out.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, if we're going to set mission statements, that's fine. But then we all get input into setting the mission statement. We decide we're going to do it. We decide what it's going to say. We don't just take what shows up.
Right.
I guess, I haven't spoken a whole lot other than my first couple of seconds, but I should state too as well, we do have a special meeting coming up next month. I think we're going to talk a lot about, my goal is to talk a lot about planning, strategic planning, personally, hopefully, 5 to 10 year visions and those types of things. And maybe at that time, once we get everybody's input, would maybe be a better time for this to come back to the council to then act on it. Certainly, I think even it may be added to. There may be things that will be clarified, and I think this then, our commitment to the parks, our commitments to many of our different organizations could very well come out of that. If nothing else, there will be some clarity, I hope, to this group about how everybody's thinking as we go forward, and we envision Sauk Center and seeing it grow into the future. So I still truly believe this really supports what we're already doing. I just don't know that right now the timing based on our meeting here in May is the right time.
Well,
I'll make a motion that we table this and discuss it at that strategic planning session. Just add it to the general agenda for planning.
I'll second it.
We have a motion to table any action on this particular item here, 9A, which is a commitment to parks, until we have our strategic planning session and work session in May, and this will be on the agenda to discuss. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
I think the opportunity that we're missing here at this point is the fact that if we've begun the planning process for the splash pad and for Sinclair Lewis Park, that this is an opportunity to get this in front of the community and get input from them. That's not to say that we can't modify this at a later time. Anything in here, what is in here that you would object to? I mean, the idea of this is not to micromanage the park board, but to give them general direction and outcome. I mean, you come up with goals from this, and that's their job to do the specifics. If anything, this keeps the council out of micromanaging the park board, which I think is what we all want this to happen.
Any other discussion?
Basically, the public input now after this happening here, I think every one of us, there's going to have a lot of probably public input coming to us before the next strategic planning meeting. And then that's when you're going to find out what the public really thinks of it and what their ideas are.
Well, I just don't buy the idea that we all go out and get a sample of the community just by being there. You know, that whole concept. I think if we have an organized public meeting being held by this company specifically saying, here's what we're going to do at the park, here's what we're doing to direct the park, and they have that interaction, that's a lot different than us deciding and then saying, here it is. This is actually bringing it to the community and getting their input. That's the difference between this.
Nothing wrong with both, but both things happen.
Well, I don't think both will happen. That's your misconception, I believe.
Well, I get phone calls. I don't know.
All right. If there's no other specific discussion in regards to the motion, which is to table it, then I'm going to call for the motion, which is to table any action on this on behalf of this until our planning session in May. With that, I'll call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Oppose?
Aye.
Motion carries. 3 in favor, 2 against. All right, we're moving on to item B, new business, which was Councilman Olson adding council taping meetings, potentially putting it up on.
Throughout the nation, many communities are posting their council meetings on YouTube. This has several advantages. One, it's free. It's open to everybody, unlike, and now this is not to say against the cable, but one of the aspects of it is that it's available on demand. You don't have to be scheduled for this. It's available for everybody. You don't have to be a subscriber to a particular cable company to see this. It's searchable, which if you want to see a council meeting from a certain time, you could do it in such a way that you could call up the date and be able to view it. Also, it allows, it's easy to do. You know, millions of people are uploading videos every day. And so I think this is something that we should take advantage of. We can also link our website to our city website to this, so if somebody wants to, they can either search it on YouTube or they can go to the city site, and there could be easily a link to this. The other part about this is technology has gotten to the point where even commercial, not commercial, but individual usage of cameras and whatnot, the quality is such and the cost is low enough that really we could look at having our own system that we could also add some of our committee meetings to. Because we can create more of this, put it up, make it more available and eventually save some money on it. But I think what I would like to do is make a motion that we direct staff to investigate further the use of putting council meetings that we get from council meetings onto YouTube, and also to investigate costs involved in setting up a video system for the council chambers.
Couple things. One is, if you don't mind, Mike, because it was just added at tonight's agenda, rather than us actually taking action of it, I would rather just direct staff to research these options and bring it back to the council at the next meeting. And I would ask that staff visited with you to make sure that they were at least
Sure.
understanding what it is you're looking for rather than action. I don't think taking action on something that's added to the agenda tonight is how I would want to do that, just so that we set that precedence and we continue on that. That's kind of how we've done this.
Rescind his motion.
Yeah. Well, we did have a motion. Would you be willing to rescind your motion?
I'll rescind
appoint
that.
staff. Thank you. So we had a motion that was rescinded. Vicki, you will work with Mike just to bring us back an overview of what this may or may not look like. Thank you. I do think, based on that, there is some great discussion to have there. I'm very interested in the technology side. That's what I've done my whole life. So looking at that as being uploaded and having opportunities to see that right from a website rather than a specific time and place, I think
could we clarify that's consent of the council is to direct staff to
General
investigate? I'll
consent.
nod,
Yeah.
Let's do that, yeah.
Thanks, Dave. We're going to move on to the consent agenda at this time. This evening in our consent agenda, we had a schedule of claims for unpaid claims of $44,962.59, paid claims of $1,748.84 for a total of $46,711.43. We also had our February checks, and they're outlined there, the check numbers, which is 1811E through 1836E, as well as some ACHs, and 33720 to 3302, totaling $344,402.21.
Those are actually March checks. Sorry.
I was just going to ask you that, Vicki. Thank you. Those are March checks in February. We also have Nicole Kustorf has completed and returned to city a temporary on-sale beer license application for the softball tournament to be held at the Tower View Ball Fields. So we have, in conjunction with Sinclair Lewis Day. So again, we will have a ball tournament during Sinclair Lewis Days if we approve this consent agenda. All of those documents have been submitted, and so I would entertain you guys to consider that at the same time. All the fees has been paid. Is there any questions in regards to the consent agenda? Seeing none, is there a motion then to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
With that one clarification of March, thank you.
Yes.
Motion by Keith, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. Any discussion? I'll call the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. At this time, we'll just move quickly into our informational items. We have several things in your packet as it relates to the information. First of all, we have the Severe Weather Awareness Week. which is coming up April 15th to the 19th, which is actually happening this week. And Monday, you may or may not have heard, but the alerts and warnings were tested Tuesday. Yesterday, we learned about lighting. Wednesday, they're talking about floods, which is posted on the Stearns County website, which has a link from the city website if anybody's interested. Thursday, there will be information about the statewide tornado drill, and then Friday is the extreme heat. And moving on to the Jose Cole Circus, keeping in mind is coming to town. It's going to be May 3rd, 2013. So please participate in that. And then also just for your review, there is the Safety Committee meeting minutes from April 10th. With that, we have nothing else on our agenda this evening. Would somebody please entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Warren, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dave. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you.